Welcome to Evolution on the Mic. Tonight's episode is a compilation episode. It's been nearly a year since Ariana and I first launched Evolution on the Mic, and we are completely thrilled, excited, and grateful for all of you who have tuned in, who have watched us. If this is your first time seeing us and watching this video, thank you for taking the time just to stop and watch and hear what we have to say. This podcast has been a journey for the both of us. We've learned so much about ourselves. We've learned so much just about podcasting in general, things that we didn't know when we first started this podcast early on. But we are excited about the growth. We are excited about the things we've learned this past year, and we are excited about the things that we've done. We really hope that all of the stories and things we've shared from our own personal lives, all of the guests that we've had that we've brought on the show, that they've touched your lives in some way. And so for this episode, what we've decided is that we wanted to do a compilation episode. What we wanted to do is take some of our episodes from 2024, little snippets here and there, and share them with you. These are some of the snippets that you guys have loved because you've watched them so many times on YouTube and other places. So we want to share these with everyone today and go back down memory lane for a second and look at some of those episodes that have touched your lives and that we know touched ours as we shared these stories. So we look forward to sharing this with you. This will be a two-part series. So this is part one. After this part, we will have another series that will launch next week. That will be part two. And then after that, for our Christmas episode, we have something very special. I can't share it with you yet because Ariana and I are still working out the details, but we are super excited about what we're going to share with you come Christmas Day. We have something so special that you do not want to miss that episode. That is an episode you want to be there. You don't want to miss it because it is going to be something that will knock your socks off. And I truly mean it. We can't tell you exactly what it's going to be. We're going to leave that as a surprise. But trust me, you do not want to miss that Christmas episode. It is something special. It is something that means so much to Ariana and I. And we are thrilled and excited that we will get the opportunity to share it with you. So for now, we're going to jump into our compilation episode. This is the first part in which we'll visit some of our early episodes in which we talked about just what it means to change, what it means to have belief in yourself, and what it means to have belief in others. Take a look.
So welcome everyone to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana de la Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dove.
Awesome. And we are here to unite great minds and build the leaders of the future. We believe that by having faith in yourself, in God, and in others, your world can radically change. Me and Antoine actually decided to start a podcast not that long ago, right, Antoine?
Yeah,
we actually
like
decided
yesterday
to do this. It feels like just yesterday. It literally was. It was like exactly. A few weeks ago that someone gave us the idea, like, you two should start a podcast. And I literally took it to heart, like, yeah, me and Antoine would be great on a podcast. We had no idea what it would be about or anything like that, but we kind of went with it a few weeks ago, and God put in both of our hearts, we both agreed literally simultaneously that this would be a God-led, faith-led podcast. And our hope in this podcast is that everyone that's listening can have a radical change in their life. Kind of like how me and Antoine has had to face some radical changes for ourselves. And the main thing that we've seen in our life was holding on to God, holding on to faith, and literally living your life not knowing how things are going to turn out, but knowing that when you're walking in God's purpose, when you're doing God's mission and you're listening to his voice, there's nothing that we can do.
God actually changed my life for me because he knew that there's something bigger. He knew I wasn't living my purpose. He knew I wasn't following the path that he had laid out for me. And he needed me to make a change immediately. And because I was dragging my feet, because I wanted to be so comfortable in the lifestyle I was in, he put me in a very uncomfortable position and said, now I want you to lean on me and trust in me. I think when we think of radical change comes in so many different forms. The thing that you said that I think is most important with radical change is faith. It's faith. When you have a radical change in your life and you immediately feel that sense of fear, or where you all of a sudden clench up, you have to lean into God. You have to lean into him. You have to remind yourself of where your faith comes from, where your strength comes from. You know, who is your support? Who is your rock? And as long as you continue to lean in and believe in him, doorways will open. People will come into your life, faith in others. People will come into your life who will continue to be a support to you, and faith in yourself, continue to trust yourself and that the things you're doing are going to be right for you. You're doing the right things to move your life forward is so important.
We all maybe sometimes struggle with our belief system. And I definitely want to help people start seeing that the things they think about, the things they believe about themselves, the things they believe about others, and the things they believe about God shapes their reality. So for me, evolution on the mic is an ever changing process. It's an ever kind of like, it's a progression, right? It's not something we're going to get there overnight, right? But it starts with an understanding that our mindset, our belief systems, our faith, our walk with God, what God has us planned for us, and understanding that first, right? Understanding what is it that I'm meant to do in my life? What is it that I'm meant to do right now to get there, right? Because it might not be that right thing. My thing is Mentor's Way, right? And I'm going to be 37 next week, December 15th.
Let's go.
And I had a dream for Mentor's Way when I was 18 years old, when I dropped out of high school. And, I'm not there yet, but it's about every day, what can I do towards that? What's leading me towards that, right? Even if I'm not doing that. But we're all in a life which is our school, so we're getting experiences. But if we don't have the right belief systems, the right mindsets of what's possible, right, then we won't ever start evolving. We won't ever start making those changes. We won't ever start striving for much. So in my hopes with this podcast, with Evolution on the Mic, is that, my hope is that me and Antoine can show you guys like evolution in real time, right? As we're doing this, right, we might get better. We might have a better backdrop, things are going to get better. Our conversations are going to be more organized. We're not going to carry and go overboard. Like, Antoine, you're losing me, buddy. Cut it. Right? Or he's looking at me like, Ariana, all right, you made your point. You're kind of repeating yourself there. So you guys are going to see all this, and we're going to be evolving as we're going. And my hope is that you guys see that and find that you don't have to be perfect, that you can kind of suck in the beginning, that you can kind of be nervous and have fears and not know. But it starts with what you believe. It starts with your faith with yourself, that you can. It starts with faith in God, that he can, through me, do anything. And it also is a part with others, because it takes other people to kind of build this life. And anything that you want to do, it's not a one-man army. Even if it starts out a one-man army, you're going to quickly learn and see that it takes partnerships. It takes other people to kind of help you to get you to where you need to be. It is always an exchange of energy, which takes another person.
So we've decided to call this episode I See You. And I know you're probably thinking to yourselves, like, what do they mean, I see you? Is it that we see you, the person next to you sees you? No, what we mean by that is you seeing yourself. You see, when you see yourself, the opinions of others holds very little weight. What they think of you, what you think they think of you, just simply doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't that sound empowering? Right? I think so.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So let me break down exactly what I mean. So there are 4 steps that I would like to break down this episode into in the ICU show. So the 4 steps is the who, what, why, and how of seeing yourself. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of break it down a little bit, and then we're going to go into depth on each step. So the first one is kind of the most like beautiful one to me. It's basically who you are and whose you are. And what we mean by that is that, first of all, there's an understanding that you are a child of God. And that is, very important to understand. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, they might not really connect with that initially. So just bear with me and you'll see exactly what I mean by you are a child of God. Okay. So, with who you are, you're also seeing yourself through the eyes of God, right? You're seeing yourself through the eyes of God and the God that is in you, because we have this God in us, this divine power in us, and that energy is God energy. So God is within us. We are within him. We are an extension of that energy. So everything that energy has, everything that energy is, everything that energy represents, we were born with it. It was inherently passed to us. meaning that we did not have to work for it. We did not have to do anything for it. We did not have to deserve it. It was just innately inherited to us by default. We have everything that God is and everything that God represents. And what do I mean by that? God is love. Do you agree? God is love.
100%. Yeah.
God's power, the main thing when we think of God is love. So if God is love, then you are love. Right?
Makes sense.
God is abundance, right? God doesn't lack anything, nothing. So we are abundant and we don't lack anything. Okay? God forgives us, and that's to show us that we have the same ability to forgive others, no matter what has happened, no matter what they've done to you. We can forgive because innately and inherently, we got that gift. Okay. If God is divine energy, then you are divine energy. So the next step in our 4-step seeing yourself is why. So why is it important to see yourself? And I think the best way to answer this is by asking these questions. What happens when you don't see yourself?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay. When you don't see yourself, these are the things that happen. And there's many more. I'm just going to label, the top ones that kind of resonated. Is we seek validation and we start comparing ourselves to other people, right? So meaning that we already kind of live in a world of comparison, like, oh, what this one is doing. Oh, well, this one has that and I want this. And, we start to seek validation from other people. And I truly strongly believe that when we decide to look at other people and what they're doing, all we're doing is kind of forgetting our action plans, right? Our destiny, our design, and we're looking at somebody else's destiny and other designs and trying to go their way. And all that's going to do is leave us feeling lost, leave us feeling insecure. We're going to start competing with other people because we're trying to go into their lane. And God is like, wait, I designed their lane. Like, where are you going? You're going right behind them. Like, you're not going to get to where they're going because only where they're going is for them.
For them. Yep.
And when you decide to kind of go behind someone else, and because you don't know who you are, whose you are, you don't know what your purpose is, you are going to constantly live in a world of feeling defeated. You're going to live in a world where you feel like you don't belong, or everybody else is getting their glory. When is my glory day happening? Your glory day would happen, like step one, once you see yourself and you know whose you are. And I want to give like kind of an example, so maybe you can visually see this in real time, right? So I kind of came up with this analogy of kind of like what happens when you don't see yourself and you're not in your lane. I see it like if you're in a car, right? Doesn't matter the type of car you're in, but you're driving and you see a car in front of you. Let's say it's a Jaguar. I don't know. I like Jaguars. I desire to have one day. So let's say you see a Jaguar 2024. Ooh, that's the new car right there. That car must know where they're going. I'm just going to follow them. And wherever they go, I know it's going to be amazing. And I know that I'm going to be happy because they seem to have it all. And then you following that car. Mind you got no GPS on you, nothing. You just blindly following that car in front of you. That car gets to where it needs to get and is super happy. And you get there and you're super sad. You're super frustrated. You're super lost. Like, oh my God, now I have no idea how to even get back to where I was. Now you're so far off your course. That is the analogy that I like think about when I'm like, when you don't see yourself, you start following other people and their path and you don't form your own path.
Yeah, that hits hard, and because I think it's really easy to compare. And as you were talking, I wrote this down, like competing, because we live in a very competitive society. Like we are always looking to either be the best or to overcome someone else. And I know in our books and that we've been reading, we've had a lot of conversations, you and I, around this concept of a poor man's mentality, or there being a limited amount of resources. We all can't have enough, not living in a place of abundance. And what I believe is once you realize you are a child of God and God is of abundance, you also are of abundance. And so this whole concept of competing kind of goes out the window, because there really isn't anything to compete against except for yourself. And the competition for yourself that you're going through is for improvement. And so I love this section of why is it important to see yourself, and the focus being on really connecting to who you are and you being a child of God, and understanding that you have been made as a one of one. There is no copy, there is no replication. God broke the mold when he made you.
I can totally see how my beliefs birthed my behaviors, because I knew who I wanted to be. I believed in everything God had told me that I could be, like, especially reading those books, Think and Grow Rich, The Secret. I knew that what was possible for me and what I had to do to get there. And I was adamant to do anything that I had to do to make sure that the things that I believed about myself were going to happen. And once I started really believing in myself, believing in the things God told me, believing in the possibilities of what could be, right? The passions that I had, the desires that I had to be a walking inspiration, my behaviors followed suit, right? My behaviors of eating differently because I want the longevity of life, my behaviors of reading different things and studying different things, my behaviors of not drinking, right? I went 8 years of not drinking after, that time frame. Close to that time frame, my behaviors of not partying and like locking myself in the room and everybody thinking that I'm crazy. Like, why you're not going out? Because I was a party animal from the age of 14. Let me tell it. Okay. I was in the club at 14 years old. So all my behaviors followed suit once my beliefs were in the right place. Once I believed so strongly that I was like, this has to happen. Everything else that followed after that of my behaviors, the things that were in contradiction or were self-sabotaging, I made sure to have that resistance and stop. Right now, I want to focus on you and the things that you can do to speak your life into existence. Okay? Using the power of your words to manifest your highest desires. That's very important for me. For you to understand how you can do this for yourself. And I want to challenge you, right? I want to challenge you, like, tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to get a notepad. I want you to get a pen, and I want you to write down things that are in your heart, the things that you desire, okay? And the things that you desire are open for exploration. However, just understand that there is no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence, okay? The things that you desire are indicators of what God desires for you. Okay, these are the things that I would like for you to write down as you start gaining these practices for yourself and speaking your life into existence. Okay, I want you to write down the things you see yourself doing, who you want to become, right? And I want you to speak these things out loud to yourself in the mirror. So as you're writing them down, be very thoughtful, have a minute, center yourself, speak from your heart. And after you've written them down, remember, the power of words is important when you're hearing your voice. Okay, you can do what I did, right? You can record yourself, say the date and time, and start speaking the things that you desire for yourself, that you want for your life, that you feel your calling is, and how you're going to get there, and how no matter what, you know that this is what God wants for you and that you want for yourself, and that he's going to help you through it. Okay. So I want you to do that. And also, for those that may be listening, that they're like, I don't know what my desire is. I don't even know how to get there. I don't know how to have these feelings in my heart, right? Like, what do you mean? What can I do if I want to, like, start that process? So for you, your homework would be, if you're that person, I just simply want you to write down these questions to God, right? So now you're writing these things to God. These are the things I want you to write. What are your desires for me, God? That's question 1. What are your desires for me, God? And when you're writing that down, right, I want you to also say it out loud, close your eyes and feel it in your heart. What are your desires for me, God? Okay. The next thing I want you to ask is, what is it that you have planned for me in this lifetime? Again, what is it that you have planned for me in this lifetime? I want you to say it out loud. I want you to close your eyes and feel it in your heart. Okay. The next thing I want you to do is that I want you to tell God something.
And this is what I want you to tell God. Please, God, show me the way. Again, please, God, show me the way. Trust me, He will show you the way. He will show you what He has planned for you. And He will tell you what is it that He desires of you in this lifetime.
I hope you enjoyed that. I hope those episodes and that flashback down memory lane brought back some memories of things that we talked about really early on in some of our first episodes, and that it was just a reminder of some of the things that we could be doing to be better in all aspects of our life, and to remember who we are and whose we are and why that matters. Don't forget to come back next week and tune in one more time for part 2 of our compilation episodes, where we share with you guys some more of the beautiful moments that we've had a chance to experience and be a part of here on this podcast at Evolution on the Mic. See you next week.